Thank you very much for participating in this event, which is going to be an interactive discussion. And as you can see, we will talk about breeding series, a pathway to resilience urban food systems. As you may know, during the 75th session of the United Nations General Assembly, the Director General of FAO launched the Green City Initiative, which is a global initiative. Why this initiative? It's, you can see on that slide that the urbanization is moving fast forward in the world. Across all countries, urban shares are projected to increase in the coming decades, although at various rates. By 2050, it's projected that 68% of the world population will live in urban areas. These rates are predicted to be the fastest in Sub-Saharan Africa over the next decade. In fact, the region is experiencing an annual urban population growth rate of 4.1% compared with the global rate of 2%. Many of the major cities in Africa, in Sub-Saharan Africa, as well as the rest of the continent, are failing to reap the economic benefit of urbanization as they face a lot of challenges in terms of housing, lack of sanitation, medical care, low supply of energy, lack of land use management plans, fire plans, lack of green spaces in all around urban areas, decreasing in water quality, and so on and so forth. So you can see that there are a lot of challenges that cities are facing. In addition to these challenges, urban population are exceeding the capacity of African cities to provide food for them, putting nearly 300 million people at risk of hunger and malnutrition, and greener strategies that mean urban agriculture and better water use will help considerably. While the prevalence of food insecurity in the world are known to be approximately less in urban areas than rural areas, it's the opposite, as you can see on the graph. It's the opposite in Sub-Saharan African countries, where the prevalence of food insecurity in urban areas is 7% higher than in a rural one, whereas incomes are the highest in urban areas. In fact, urbanization and rising income do not automatically lead to better diet. We all know that. Increased household income gave access to a greater diversity of healthy foods, but also increased access to more ultra-processed food. The characteristic of urban diet in low and medium income countries are higher consumption of calories, high processed foods, animal source food, less fruit and vegetable, and guaranteed food safety and quality. And these are what we have in terms of food systems in our countries. In fact, urbanization and rising income do not automatically do that. Diets are shaped by food systems which are made up all the people, institutions, environment, infrastructure, and activities that relate to the production, processing, distribution, marketing, sale, preparation of and consumption of food. Food systems, as you know, are intrinsically related to health, environment, culture, policy, and economy. The food system framework depicts these outcomes as well as characteristics such as food availability and affordability and consumer behavior. The framework that you see here describes the entire food system, including food supply chain, food environment, individual factors, consumer behavior, diet and nutrition, and environmental, social, political, and economic drivers. factors that push or pull the system. We need healthy diet from sustainable food systems that protect human health and well-being and our resilience to shocks. This includes food systems which can respond to a pandemic such as COVID-19. As you know, during this pandemic, in many of our countries in sub-Saharan Africa, there was disruption of the food systems. And this what really led to the rural poverty and economic issues. Cities, despite these external and intrinsic drivers, cities have the means to shape the food system. For instance, policy or investment decision at local level shape the food system in the metropolitan areas or region. First of all, local authorities as key players, they are key players, but a significant level of autonomy is needed. And cities have instruments, but not have sufficient legal or regulatory, let's say, system to integrate into policy and planning. And this is the problem of all African cities right now. Cities are but one of the many actors of the food systems. So as you can know, there are a lot of actors and stakeholders that are concerned with what is happening in the cities. And cities' actions go beyond the city boundaries and are shaped by the external environment. So this is very important. So as we look at cities, let's not think that it's just the issue of the mayors of the city, but it goes beyond that, or just the boundary of the city. You have to look at what is happening also in around the cities, the environment, the immediate environment that are around the cities. And these are also, they have action and impact on the cities and what can be done in the cities. It means that food systems should be taken into account in the planning. So as we plan our cities, the food system concern should be taken into consideration. Planners have a role to preserve lands for food-related activities and design effective and sustainable food systems that will enhance urban food security. So we have to take into account land issues. We have to integrate informal food sector in planning due to its role in creating employment and alleviating poverty. We have to integrate also climate change and environmental issues in designing sustainable urban food systems. So all these factors that are here are important. If in what we see in many African cities today is that the planning is not adequate. You don't even have places like space where people can go and rest, or green spaces that can be left in the cities. There is no land even around the cities for urban and peri-urban agriculture, or even for peri-urban forestry to keep to make sure that oxygen is actually preserved within the cities. To better support cities toward this action, FAO is developing a Green City Initiative, which goal is to improve food security, nutrition, and the quality of life in urban and peri-urban areas, reducing degradation of natural resources, and contributing to climate change resilience for Africa. It intends to improve people's well-being through increased availability of and access to products and services provided by green spaces, including urban and peri-urban forestry, agriculture, and sustainable food systems. So as we talk about green city, we have to consider three things. First, urban and peri-urban forestry. Usually people don't pay attention to that. with the urbanization, you just go and cut forests around. Okay, the agriculture, how people can produce to feed people that are in the city, and then you will see some good examples, through this presentation. And the food system, and I described the food system during this talk already. And this is not, these three factors should be integrated as we plan how we want to green our cities. Globally, these 4 principles guide the initiative. The Green City Initiative was launched by the FAO Director General last year as 4 principles: rural-urban synergies, social inclusion and equity, resilience and sustainability, agri-food systems, connection or interconnection. And integration out here is very important. Now, the target that we have is to cover at least 1,000 cities by 2030. And here we are not talking about big cities only. We are talking about small cities. We are talking about medium-sized cities, and so on and so forth. So this is the target. FAO is funding the initial phase and hope to attract more resources and interest for the full program. The aim is to push for key innovative quick win actions to develop the capacity of local stakeholders in the first cities joining the project to integrate food systems, urban and peri-urban agriculture, and forestry in local planning. For that, if you don't know, letters of intent has been signed with 6 African cities already between FAO and the mayors of those cities, which are Praia in Cape Verde, Kisumu and Nairobi in Kenya, Antananarivo in Madagascar. In Madagascar, Kediman in Mozambique, and Kigali in Rwanda. And so this is important. So it's like we have these cities are champions now, and we want to work with them so that they could be examples. And they are very important, interesting, let's say, activities and initiatives and plan going on in these cities already. But these are not the only cities in Africa where greening is happening. We have also greening in terms of food and so on in other cities, like I'm just talking about Dakar, talking about so many cities initiatives that is happening in Africa. So we will have to capture all this and see how we can accompany countries and government and also mayors in their effort for greening the cities. At the end of the program, individual families and communities of the targeted cities should together reduce the environmental footprint, and this we aim to get that, and create clean, green cities and towns that deliver a better quality of life while being kind to the environmental, cutting climate pollution. In fact, a green city is a place, as you see in this picture, where people have access to land and they cultivate to diversify their diet and improve their livelihood. As you can see here, for cities where planning was well done, where we have land is provided, you can see how people are producing for the city. It is a city that nurtures the connection between urban and rural to ensure a two-way flow of goods and services and an equal distribution of benefits. It is a city that invests in its human capital, valuing talent, culture, and innovation to serve collective interests in the most effective manner. Just like you can see here, capacity building, helping the people in the city is paramount. A green city invests in innovation as well, creates green jobs, and foster favorable environment to attract investment in the green sector. It is a city that promotes dialogue and active engagement of different stakeholders. So this is, and this is both at the level of government, environment, local communities in collaborative planning, design, and management. So you can see innovation on this graph here. You see people that are producing, but you can see also on the left or right, depending on where you are, the greening that is done using sometimes buildings. It should provide to healthy and nutritious food at a convenient distance and at affordable prices. It is a city that designs strategy to reduce food loss and manage food waste so that it can be reused in agricultural production, for instance, compost or fertilizers. So this circular economy is very important for cities to embark on, so that food loss and waste is actually reduced, and it's an opportunity rather than something that will contribute to climate change. It's a city which develop and adopt technical innovation for urban food waste reduction management. So you can see here how food is used. It is a city which develop and adopt off-ground cultivation, micro-garden, etc. So you can see that innovation, and this is in Kisumu County, right in Kenya, and this is something that can be important also for other African cities. Lastly, it is a city which developed technological innovation for urban forestry. As you can see here, when we're talking about the urban forestry, this is a good example of how forestry is used and is built in the city. So with this, I will stop this presentation. The idea is to give you some ideas of what we are doing today to help the forestry, urban forestry, food system, agriculture, peri-urban agriculture in African cities, so that we can cut down on the emission, so that we can provide food security and nutrition to the people living in the cities. So if you have questions beyond this presentation, I've given here a number of our email address that you can use to contact us so that we can give you more information. If you have questions, the presentation was given in English, but if you want to ask questions in French, you can ask in French, and then we can give you an answer in French as well. So thank you very much for listening and for joining this event. Now, it's an interesting question that is, you can use the chat also to write and ask your questions. The question is, are you using the vertical farming systems much in West Africa? I can tell you that in West Africa, what I know of, what we know of in West Africa so far is urban and peri-urban agriculture. And also planning, just as I described. The vertical farming is not very much used yet in West Africa, but it's a possibility, and we think that as we move with this, that people become aware of what they can do afin that can be done. Another question, good presentation if the program is will cover Bénin. Oui, une bonne question. Comme j'ai dit tout à l'heure, le programme est pour toute l'Afrique. Le programme est toute l'Afrique et à présent, nous sommes en train de faire une évaluation de tout ce qui se passe dans chaque grande ville, dans chaque grande capitale africaine et puis aussi les grandes villes aussi qui se trouvent dans les pays pour qu'on puisse avoir une idée claire de la situation actuelle et puis voir comment on peut identifier les insuffisances que nous allons adresser dans ce programme. Nous avons présenté un certain nombre de villes que nous avons appelées les villes champions. C'est des villes qui, depuis la réunion de Milan, se sont engagées dans cette activité de comment verdir et les activités dont j'ai parlé. Mais ça doit s'étendre dans le programme, on doit aller au-delà de ces villes pour inclure 12 villes et à partir de ces 12 villes, aller jusqu'à couvrir l'ensemble des villes africaines. Donc, potentiellement, le Bénin doit être couvert. The vertical farming of vegetables is very good. So in Singapore, provided high-value vegetables to the market, to what extent is FAO supporting countries to adopt the technology in series? I just said that all sorts of innovation that is working elsewhere can be adapted to Africa. But we have, through the program that I'm talking about, we will have to sensitize countries, governments, mayors, and also stakeholders, the individuals. And when people get aware of those things and the importance of that, and the contribution to food security, to nutrition, and also the contribution to the increase of the income, that will go on that. So capacity building will be important. South-South cooperation to see how we can also use what is happening elsewhere in Asia, in Latin America, in Europe for adaptation. I'm saying that adaptation because we cannot replicate easily without taking into account, let's say, the condition, the local conditions of the people. So let's see if we have other questions. Yes, micro garden. I want to add that micro gardens are becoming more and more common in West Africa compared to the vertical, and this is the to put emphasis on what I said. For instance, I'm sitting now presently in Dakar, and in Senegal, the youth here is really engaged in micro gardens. They are producing vegetables, and women, they are producing vegetables, peri-urban agriculture. They are in cooperatives. They are even selling fresh food in the market. They are also transforming these products. So this is something that is happening here. And this is happening also in many countries, in Burkina Faso, in Ghana, and so on, Nigeria, and so on. So urban and peri-urban agriculture, micro garden is the first activity that Africans are involved in now. The vertical will come later on. But as I said, this will need really, let's say, the political will of the government, the cities, the municipalities, will have to be sensitized, we have to be supported, and the capacity has to be developed so that this will happen, this will happen. I hope I've been able to answer to all your questions. I don't have any more questions. One comment, thank you for the response. The South-South cooperation is great, and we should do a lot of it to learn from each other. Yeah, that is a must. In this particular in greening, South-South cooperation, technology transfer, all this would be really important for Sub-Saharan Africa, for Africa globally, to embark really in greening. The good news is that we have cities that have started that are doing very good job. You can, I gave you the name of those cities. If you are there, you could see how these cities are moving forward with greening. So I think we have 2 more minutes to go. And if there is no more question, I think, Robin, I would like us to stop here.
Congratulations.
So thank you very much for your participation. And please, I hope you have written down our emails. Continue to contact us. And if you did not write down, please write to FL. Go write directly to FL, anyone, the Director General of FL, myself, and we will be able to work with you. If you want to invest in this area, we can work with you, and also we can be able to answer your question. Thank you very much, and see you later. My email I gave, okay, let me write my email here so that you